need to unmute. And welcome everyone to another Universal Citizens Media live broadcast. I'm joined live in person by the intrepid David Ellis.
Hello, Andrew. How are you?
Doing great today, David. So we're here in Boulder today, and
Yes.
we're at the mega Universal Citizens studio.
Yes, we are, and quite a studio it is. We have everything in here.
It was one of the places where we're going to be hosting masterminds that are going to be coming up. So let's get into the thick, David. We've been talking a lot about self-mastery lately. And then the what it takes to get beyond it. And some of the things you've touched on and I've touched on is there are those that go down the spiritual path who are not necessarily good.
Yes.
They may think they are. And this has been a common theme. And we've done now 5 shows going on, 6 shows going on 7.
Mm-hmm.
And new themes are going to show up.
Yes.
But the old themes, the old shoe hats, the old hats that everyone keeps wearing are going to come up. And we have a unique opportunity as teachers of describing it a different way, half tailored for the person and half tailored for the theme. So many of the themes have similarities, be it shame, blame, or guilt, trauma from a young age, whatever it is. So we're going to ask people that want to raise their hand to have questions about health and wellness, business. We particularly like questions from people who are in the wellness industry and don't have a lot of business experience. It is very common for light workers to have, let's just say, some awful trepidations dealing with business itself, not charging it right, not knowing what contracts are, so on and so forth. So, David, let's talk a little bit about business, the wellness industry, and how people should really see the internet for the advertising that it is.
Yes, well, we had actually an example today, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We had a practitioner, he's actually a chiropractor, who came to our studio today, and he needed advice on how to get around a intellectual property issue so that he could teach. And there were people that were preventing that from happening, so we did advise him. So we would encourage all of you who are in the audience to raise your hands and ask whatever questions you may have so that we can assist you, especially if you're in the wellness industry. And I want to say something else. If you're on the spiritual path, business takes a different shape and a different form. So you're going to probably need some advice to set up businesses. We're here to help you with that. We're also here to help anyone who is in the process of setting up a business and don't know how to market yourselves. We would like to give as much advice as we can. We are also available for one-on-one sessions as well. But honestly speaking, if you have the opportunity to call in and bounce your ideas across us, we'll be happy to hear from you.
All right, then. Let's spin the wheel of callers and see what Universal Citizen Media Wheel of Callers brings to us today.
Okay, first person will be Julie Fau. You're unmuted, Julie. Go for it.
Today.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, where are you calling from today?
I'm from Lexington, Kentucky.
Well, welcome to the show. What questions did you have for us?
Well, I have a question, but it's not really like a business question. It's more, I guess, a spiritual question. You always talk about sacred geometry, right? And they set up sacred geometry grids. And my question is this. When you look at sacred geometry, it has these specific shapes, it's triangles, it's circles. Is that like a neutral tool, and then you can put whatever intention you want into that? And is that just specific for Earth, or is it different in different planets? Is it different in different galaxies? There's different shapes, different energy codes with that. Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yes, it does. So every piece of sacred geometry has its own vibration, harmony, as well as a musical note and a numerical value to it to prime numbers, and a variety of other variables that determine how we will perceive a piece of sacred geometry. There are some pieces of sacred geometry that you may look but never see the truth of the image because it's part of the hologram of perception. Example, Metatron's cube. Have you ever seen that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Metatron's cube is done in a 3-dimensional format and it opens up. It has an entire different dimensional view to it. Okay? And we must learn to turn it on in our brain. So there are a lot of times, like, those people who look at the dot matrix picture and then can pick out the image, and there are those that can't. It's not because they're not creative. There's something in their pattern recognition of their brain, the way they see light, dark, and shadow. Now, our brains fill in a lot of information. But when one becomes an esoteric practitioner and begins to use sacred geometry in their work, like intention-wise, which is basic baby steps, and then adult intention practitioner, which is I'm a dedicated self-mastered practitioner who's putting my dedicated time that has a lot of joy behind it. Because when you find yourself doing things without joy, it begins to influence the way we can perceive the geometries. David, what would you like to add about sacred geometry?
Why were you interested in sacred geometry? Why the question?
Well, there's numerous of reasons why. I had an experience happen to me, and I was shown different things in different planets, and it was way different than anything that was here and the sacred geometry that was here. And then I listen to Andrew all the time, and I'm starting to understand that the power that's behind these things, and it makes me wonder I wonder if that's just something that's just built.
You do realize that the basis of most symbols in religions and esoteric schools are based on sacred geometry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another reason why I wonder.
Okay, so I am assuming that you saw something that you want to tell us, so why don't you go ahead and tell us?
I don't know. There's so much, honestly. Well, because I had that experience and I saw different shapes, and the shapes were not anything like the sacred geometry that they have everywhere, right? There are these perfect shapes and they're all lined up perfectly. It wasn't like that at all. And then I guess dealing with... Say what?
Did it look like inordinate lines?
Kinda. It was nothing like I can describe. It was shapes, but they're constantly moving in and out. There's no solidness to
name for what you saw.
Say what?
There is a name for what you saw.
Oh, there is.
Yes. People generally think of geometry in nice and neat shapes.
Yeah.
Work that way. Okay. Pythagoras was pretty much the father of geometry, and he had a system that was made up of 10 movements. Okay. And the movements that you see when you think about sacred geometry are abbreviations of those 10 movements. Okay. We don't have the time to expand it, but if you take, for instance, a triangle or a hexagram, for instance, and you unravel it, you will see all the different possibilities that you can have. Symbology and the geometry are not the same. I wish I can probably, if Jenny's listening, is Jenny with us today?
Yeah, she's with us.
Jenny, could you please drop into the chat a book called The Intelligent Enneagram? Just do a Google and drop it into the chat, and you can probably go read that book, and I think you will find the answers that you're looking for right there.
Okay. And in the regards to that too, and the same thing, I guess tapping into this kind of stuff, I guess I want to be aware of what it is, right? What my intention and what I'm actually empowering. Because Andrew was just saying about how these shapes and these they come with sounds, right? And there's these
sound.
Right, and there's these meditation I came across of, and because a friend was telling me about it or something like that, and they were using these old Hebrew names of God and the meditation, and it was making me... What was it?
That's called sigils, where they're using names as sigils as to represent pictographs that have positions of power in your belief engine.
So is that again like a neutral word, or is that somebody's depiction of God? And what does that mean for me? Or does that mean that
It's somebody's depiction of God that has been reinterpreted and reinterpreted by every generation that's seen the sigil imprintation and added their own imprint to it. So it's a giant, dirty energy underwear closet of very dirty sacred geometry sigils. Now, that's called hijacking the image. Okay. Just like certain people, like World Wrestling Federation back in the day was WWF until they got sued by the World Wildlife Foundation, and they lost and had to change their name. WWE. Now, there are very similar people that try to hijack sacred geometries through belief.
Right.
So there's times we're shown a geometry to determine if we can see the parallel concepts that can harmonize with it. It's saying vision is unlimited. The journey to the unlimited vision, the unlimited point of view, is your determination and self-courage to see the right things on the edge of your unknown, allowing the manifestation to come through, or the sacred geometry unfold and give you a bigger light code that may have numbers, may have empathic information attached to it.
Okay, I see. So when you're working with this, instead of using sounds and names of somebody else's depiction of what that is, that you could use it to create your own sounds and your own depictions of what that is for you.
It's individualized at half the level, and the other half of the level is we are able to receive a certain amount of information because our DNA instrument of awareness is more. We are photosensitive aware beings. Our hair is aware. All parts of our body are aware. We just aren't aware of our awareness. And sacred geometry is aware of the awareness. It's a background subtle frequency that uses consciousness and awareness to create, let's just say, weather patterns between objects and places and observations, because you have to be observing the sacred geometry pattern. Do you know how to draw?
Yeah.
Are you really good at it?
I mean, I think so. I mean, that's what I've heard around town.
Go to like someplace like Michael's Craft Store or Prism Art Supplies, if they a higher end art supply place, and look for something that does a paint by numbers sacred geometry objects, like Metatron's cube, and you've got to actually like do it, because as you're drawing it, you will see the form come to life. Also, you can YouTube Metatron's cube 3D, and you will see somebody who has taken three-dimensional art or a regular regular sacred geometry and opened it up to a three-dimensional blown-up view, so you can see the intricacies of the interwovenness.
Okay, so that is a neutral tool then.
It can be, but then there are things that have been weaponized sacred geometry, like family crests from Europe are weaponized sacred geometry. Weaponized in what way? The way you observe it. You go to war. This is what's telling you their heraldry of what they did in history. It's been manipulated. Bank crests also. Many other things use, like example, the phallic symbol in every city on Earth. Exactly.
So again, it's neutral, and then they put this power behind it by whatever that experience is.
Power of Myth. You ever read Joseph Campbell's The Power of Myth?
No.
If anyone has never read that book, I highly, highly recommend it as an eye-opener experience on the power of what myth can be. Because myth is what hijacks many concepts and makes a misunderstanding generation to generation to generation until they're so far off the point of view that they're nowhere near it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I see what you're saying. So it's a neutral tool, and let things come up, and just, I guess, let go of all these ideologies of what's been put on that.
Correct. Let it go. And just understand, you don't want to go stare at a bank symbol. You don't want to go stare at some family crest from Europe, okay? That has its own weirdo geometry in it. Be common sense there. You can do
absolutely.
Your own, whatever piece of sacred geometry you're doing.
Yeah, I guess I was asking that because even when they were bringing up stuff from Egypt, they're bringing up, the Star of David, all this stuff, even with that. And I'm like, but that still seems like their depiction of what that was, because they still have these names and irises. And it just seems like, I don't know, just something in me feels like, I get it. I mean, is that sacred? I mean, or is that still a depiction of what makes it a slave slavery tool?
What makes it sacred?
What makes it sacred? Yeah, right? Even more, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sacred geometry.
Sacred
Right.
geometry becomes sacred when a whole bunch of people believe that it's sacred.
Pretty much.
Right. So it doesn't even, so technically, if I wanted to dive deeper in that, I don't even have to draw even that. I mean, you can go beyond that and just start drawing whatever your heart desires, and then that is the sacredness.
Celtic knotwork is another version of doing your own sacred geometry on the flow, but it uses a form. Example, trigonometry uses a form, and inevitably in trigonometry, what are you going to discover? Cubes. Cubes and cubes and cubes within cubes. And a variety of other mathematical inconveniencies. Okay?
Yeah.
This is true. Very much true.
Okay.
But if you really want to explore sacred geometry, I would suggest you just get a piece of paper and a pen or a marker. Place one little dot on that piece of paper and start drawing randomly. Right? Draw what is sacred to yourself.
Right. And then tap into your own God source and your own message.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just know as the worm of movement comes through your body, mind, spirit, and soul, and you're in the flow, there's a fine line between doing it for fun and recreation, and then, hey, I passed the fun and recreation, and this is really doing something for the soul.
I want to answer her question. So there are some basic tenets of geometry. You got lines, you got circles, you got these basic shapes, okay? But there is no hard and fast rule, okay? You remember when the infinity symbol used to be this twisted circle?
Yeah.
And now there are different forms of the infinity symbol as well, okay? Because that's what an infinity symbol is. You just take the circle and you twist it downward.
Okay. No, well, thank you guys. That answered a lot of questions.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, darling. Thanks a lot for calling.
Yeah, thank you guys.
That was our first sacred geometry question, David.
Yes, it was.
Yes. Who is beeping? Is that you? That's the computer? Okay, that sounds weird. I'm like, who's beeping? All right, Robert, spin the wheel of beeping callers.
I was wondering who was beeping too, because that wasn't the end of the call for our last caller. Next caller is going to be Tasha. Tasha, you are unmuted.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call.
Yeah, where are you calling from today?
Georgia, near Atlanta.
Georgia, welcome to the show.
Pardon?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
What questions did you have today?
I just had a health-related question. I've struggled with autoimmune stuff my entire life, and I tend to dabble in divine muscle testing. And most recently, I tested that one thing I needed to conquer was sovereignty consciousness. And so I've been working on that, but I essentially just wanted to see if there was anything you could pick up to see if maybe you could give me some insight on what I can do to take hold of this and heal myself.
You said some key words. Dabbling. Are you a dabbler in life?
No, I don't. Well, possibly. Try not to be.
So you
I have a lot of things going on.
No. Just listen to what I'm saying. We're going to break it down here. Do you dabble in divinity? Because you created a word consciousness conjugation that doesn't normally go together. Have you been dabbling in divinity?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So when are you going to stop dabbling and be committed?
I'd love to do it now.
Okay. It's a matter of choice. So autoimmune disease, what is the nature of the autoimmune affecting you?
Skin conditions, eczema, psoriasis, hyperthyroidism. That's mainly it.
What kind of What kind of weight swings do you have?
What kind of what now?
Weight swings. Swings, losing and gaining weight.
Oh, well, right now they've got my medication so high, the anti-thyroid, that I'm 60 pounds overweight. But, before they got it under control, I mean, I'm 5'3" and I was 120 pounds. But I certainly don't weigh that now. Wish I did.
Do you have dry tongue when you sleep, when you ever wake up with dry mouth?
Very rarely.
Okay. And what about your menstrual cycle? Is it linked to your skin conditions, flare-ups, and settle downs?
I haven't noticed there being a link. I mean, it's pretty regular. Sometimes it's 5 to 7 days, but sometimes it's 2 to 3 days. But as far as the timing, it's usually pretty regular.
So this is going to be an odd, out of the left field question. Any big toe issues with your big toes, left to right toe?
Well, I actually dropped my phone on it about 5 years ago, and it's healing.
5 years ago?
Yeah, and it's still funky.
A brick from the 80s?
Well, I was standing, I had it up, but like by my face, and I dropped it, and it fell directly on there. So very strange. That's funny you picked that up.
Yeah, well,
not surprised.
When the body shows this stuff, there is a trauma to your central processing system, and I believe the majority of your autoimmune disease is central processing issue, probably related to your early nutrition. Probably some major mineral deficiency or overabundance that your body absorbed, and when you went to go have hormone changes, you couldn't absorb the new nutrition. I'm going to let David step up there and have his point of view here.
Thank you.
Okay, so from Andrew's little checklist, I could see that some parts of your endocrine system are not working correctly. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's isolate the parts that aren't working correctly. First of all, there's only one more question I need to ask her. Do you experience fluctuations between hot and cold?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, yeah. All the time.
So who diagnosed you as autoimmune?
Yeah.
Hello?
I'm here. I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
Who diagnosed you as having an autoimmune issue?
Oh gosh, it's been, well, at first it was a dermatologist. And then as far as my thyroid issue, it was about 5 years ago, and it was my endocrinologist.
Okay, so they both said you have an autoimmune deficiency or autoimmune problem?
No, I mean, I just kind of made that link, myself.
Okay, so you might not have an autoimmune issue. You have an endocrinology issue.
Okay.
Your endocrine is an issue, and some parts of it are not working correctly. So the usual suspects with regard to causes of endocrine issues are poor nutrition. Pollution is one of them, actually. It's becoming more and more.
Heavy metals.
Heavy metals and so on. So we're going to try to isolate them with you on the line right now.
Okay.
So let's take the usual indicators. Okay, so how do you eat?
I eat actually very good. I mean, for what I can get from the grocery store, good. So, I mean, I tend to do, fresh, organic. I don't do processed water. I make sure I filter out the fluoride. I add minerals to it. Now, lately, I haven't been taking a multivitamin. I mean, I guess my worst habit is coffee. But I mean.
So did you always eat like this?
No, growing up, I ate terrible.
What did you eat?
My mom would get fast food often. And then when I first got out on my own, I would do the same. And of course, my husband now, of 5 years, he's the one who kind of taught me, the clean eating. And, we even try to stay away from, rice that has high contents of arsenic. And we stay away from, rice products because of that. And, and then of course the Roundup and all that, we try to stay away from all of it.
Okay, so off the top of my head, let me just give you a little bit of information on what your endocrine system does. It literally tells your body how to operate. It literally tells your body how to operate. Okay? So when parts of it are not working correctly, the communication system is a problem. And when I say the communication system is a problem, it means that little things like, I don't know, blood circulation, how you heal, will be affected as a result of it. Okay?
How you process nutrition.
It's the horrible thing about the endocrine system is that when one part is not working correctly, it's a domino effect eventually. Okay? Unless you stem it out. So may I make a few suggestions straight off the bat? Hello? Are you still there?
I think somebody mute. I think I got muted. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So let me give you a few tips off the bat. You need to probably go to someone who is an endocrinologist and have yourself tested. That would be the first thing that you need to do. Once you find out are you on thyroxine right now?
No, I'm actually on methimazole.
Oh, okay. All right. So you need to go to an endocrinologist and you need to get a proper diagnosis of what's happening, because right now you're just chasing symptoms. That's the problem with the endocrine system. People go around chasing symptoms, and there's a lot of them. So they go chasing this one and that one. You can't do that. The problem is the whole system. That has got to be one of the systems in your body that is probably the most inconvenient, because all its respective glandular systems are plugged into one another one way or another. Okay?
Okay.
Or if you want to be like, if you want to make a sort of translation, the East Indian chakra system is mapped onto your endocrine system. Okay? And when one begins to collapse or go off kilter, the others follow suit as a result of it. Okay, so my suggestion to you is get an adequate diagnosis, because all the symptoms you're describing tend to point towards your endocrine system malfunctioning. That's the first thing. The second thing that I would like to say is you can't just eat properly for the endocrine system, okay? It's not, you can't just say, oh, well, my endocrine system is bad, I guess I'll give up fried food. Because here's the funny thing about it. You might switch to a raw food diet and end up in another problem because you've switched to the raw food diet, okay? So you need to be very careful with regard to that. My suggestion would be that it's going to take time. It's going to take time. But before you diagnose yourself as having an autoimmune problem, which is a totally different level of problem, my suggestion would be that you get a proper diagnosis, because I do believe it's your endocrine system that's going off kilter, and you find a methodology that reverses or stems the tide, because all you have to do is halt it and it'll fix itself, you know.
Right.
You just have to halt the downwards.
Okay, thank you.
Do you understand?
Very much. Yes, I do.
You just have to halt it. You don't have to, because if you had to go through every glandular system and see the effects of each one of them, the reason why I asked you about hot and cold, their hypothalamus would be malfunctioning. And that tends to suggest that you have a domino effect going on. All you have to do is halt it. I need to ask you one more question. Are you under stress?
Oh, yeah. I have 2 under 3 and a 13-year-old starting with an attitude. And I stay at home.
When's the last time you took an actual vacation for yourself?
For just myself, since before children, my 13-year-old.
14 something years.
Yes.
Well, at some point, you got to start giving back to yourself. I understand that money can be tight in these scenarios, but you have to start figuring out how to unplug.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't unplug, a lot of the stuff's going to continue, and your body's breaking down because you're not at an adequate sleep. You're probably asleep, but you're in an alpha state, an alpha awareness sleep, which is just really light sleep. It means your brain's not really shutting off, your body's not really shutting off, and recalibrating. That's what sleep does for us.
Which reminds me, have you been under stress for a long period of time, even before your children?
Yeah, I used to work a really high stress job. So
I think we have a winner here. Yeah. Stress over long periods of time will cause your endocrine system to malfunction. So people wonder, oh, stress doesn't kill. Stress kills.
Yes, it does.
It kills you really slow.
Takes decades off your life.
And you want to know what else? Stress is it's actually worse than AIDS, really. Because the first thing that stress does is it hampers your ability to fight it.
Right.
It disconnects your ability to fight it. So you literally have to stop everything, no matter how important that everything is, in order to start fighting it. You seem to have been under stress for a long period of time, and your body is giving you the signals that probably you should stop, or it will make you stop. You understand that making you stop is not a good thing, right?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome.
So, have you heard us talk about hyperbaric chambers before?
Yes, I have.
Flotation tanks and hyperbaric chambers, for whatever money you're able to invest in yourself, are some of the best healing dollars you can spend on yourself.
Okay.
Both of those give you recovered sleep. Okay? An hour in the flotation chamber, 8 hours of sleep. An hour in the hyperbaric is like 8 hours of sleep.
Okay.
Sleep. And then there's the hyperbaric does one thing to the blood, and the float does something else by recharging the electrical juice that we use through the salt.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, Robert, spin the wheel of callers.
Okay, next caller will be Denise Collins.
Denise,
are you there?
Denise, going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right. Spin the wheel of callers.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, she made it.
Hey, Denise, what's up?
Where are you calling from today?
Denise, are you okay? I think she's on data.
Yeah, I think she's on data.
Can you hear me?
Denise, are you there?
Yes,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Connecticut.
Well, welcome to the show, Denise. What questions did you have for us today?
Connecticut. I'm calling from Connecticut.
Well, welcome to the show, Denise. Yeah, you got to turn off your other radio. You can't listen to both. There's a delay.
Connecticut.
You have to turn off the other speaker source. Are you there? Hello. All right, Robert, let's come back to Denise a little later when she figures out how to get her audio going there.
Okay, next caller will be Angel. Angel, you're unmuted.
Hello.
Hey, Angel, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Orlando. We actually spoke beginning of May.
Great. What did we talk about in May?
So I went through a cleanse, feeling much better now. I went through extensive enemas and stuff. And I just had some more, questions in regards to my galactic history as well as discernment with the spirits that I'm talking to, or I guess the voices in my head. So I was wondering, would you be able to go into my galactic history?
That's not we don't do that on this show here. That's the other show.
Okay.
So what we'll talk about the medical, the business stuff you're going through, life-altering stuff.
Okay. Okay, so I guess another question I have is, do we talk telepathically? Because I've had conversations with you, like very extensive ones, and even before you started doing the live call-in shows, like 2 weeks before that, I saw that you were going to start doing the shows, and that just leads me to believe, you know, I can pick up on some stuff, but I'm not sure, do we talk in a different dimension, or...
I have no awareness of having any telepathic communication with you. That doesn't mean that it doesn't go on in a dream frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I have no awareness. There are many people that have all sorts of multidimensional forms of communication to me. I'm the living, breathing manifestation me. I have no awareness of those conversations. No.
Okay. And so that must be... Can you tell if that's my own programming, or that's an actual thing that's happening?
Depends on what the conversation is about. No, it all depends on what the conversation is about. Did it help you work things out? There are times our mind makes up people, places, and things to help us work through traumas, problems, or something that's not even a trauma. It's just a right on the edge of unknown being known, where you're getting into the depths of your core beliefs or the way you see and perceive things. Now, there are external things that communicate to us, and then there are internal, eternal things that speak to us. Our eternal, internal being is not an external voice. And what you were telepathically hearing, was it external or internal?
And that's another thing that last time you told me that I should begin a process of discernment of that. And I really have been doing that process for a long time now, and it's still, you know, troublesome where the information is coming from. Is it from the other person? Because I can hear spirits, I can hear, you know, sometimes it's somebody else's thoughts.
You still have trepidations. You still have issues. So there's still something in your particular hologram that is questioning if you are making it up or something else is butting in and adding a propaganda line that you may be suckered into. That's a trust issue. That's still trust in spirit. You have trust in spirit, and you have these long flows, but you also get into these moments where the flows have been too long and your discernment is unmistakable, wrong and right at the same time. So you must understand you shouldn't be doing it all the time, first thing first. The amount of energy that it takes up is mind-blowing, actually. And you have to know when is enough. This is why most light workers fail at any form of really advanced healing, really advanced form of spiritual communication, because they burn themselves out energetically. They can't save the rest of the energy for the next day, the next day, and the next day, and they want to have all the experiences right now, and then they open up their crown chakra, flood in this information, and they forget about their kids to your, second birthday, or what else is going on. So it's probably fair to say you've been pretty much, waist deep in this material since May.
Yeah, for a couple of years actually. It's been going on, and
maybe it's time to come out of the water a little bit. I have said this to many other callers. There are times we go too far up the spiritual ass and we're coming out of your own mouth. That's ego. That's an enlightenment trap. And as for everyone else that's out there, yeah, you can go way too far in spirituality and never think you did. But in fact, you've done it long ago. Today, I want to bring you in here and help people understand the fine line between going too far into spirituality and not being grounded.
Yes, that's a common theme in our show. Okay, so spirituality, as I said before in many shows, does not give you anything. It only amplifies what you already have. Okay, so if you're using spirituality as an escape route from or an avoidance technique from problems that you're experiencing in this incarnation, in this life, then you're not actually following a spiritual path. You're using spirituality for some other end. Okay? You need to face the problems in this life. Spirituality can help you, but it won't actually give you what you're seeking, which is refuge from the world. So my suggestion to anybody who's listening to this broadcast, if you are very deep into spirituality to the point where you forget your own duties in this world, then you probably need to think and come again. You do. You do need to think and come again, because you still have to deal with the kids. You still have to deal with the spouse. You still have to deal with your coworkers. You can't just check out. Okay? You can't do that. And a lot of people use the excuse, well, the hermits in India, the sannyas, did that. That is actually something else. That is something completely different. Renunciation and detachment is not the same as avoidance and escapism. The two are completely different. Okay? When somebody commits their life, for instance, like a monk, commits his life to a certain path, he's doing it not as an inconvenience to those around him. He's doing it because he needs to commit himself completely to that path. But a lot of people want to be spiritual and still buy Lululemon pants. It's hilarious. If you think your spirituality is lessened by you not buying the latest Lululemon outfit, then no, you are not ready yet. Okay? But if you think that you're so deep into spirituality that you just need all the, accoutrements. All the accoutrements. So you wear the mala, you have the yoga mat rolled up, you have the yoga mat bag from, give me a brand name. Actually, we can't mention the brand names, can we? You have the yoga roll-up mat, and you have the look. The clothes do not make the man. Okay? They don't. That you've heard that said before.
Nor do the channeled communications make you spiritual.
Okay.
I have a question actually in terms of more specific healing. As far as pulling out, I'm able to pull out energy and thought models from people. And the reason I know that I can do this is I was doing it at a seminar. I would sense when people would get anxious, and I would envision myself pulling that out of the person and then sending them love. And then after the seminar, this lady came up to me and she said that she was actually able to see the energy that I was sending her. And she even had like a diagram of the different colors. And
did you ask this person to do any energy work on them?
We exchanged emails, but at the time I thought I shouldn't be messing with things like that, that it wasn't right.
The greatest difference anyone can do is doing work on someone without asking, physically asking. And I stand by this motto proud, because I know what can be done in unawareness. So this goes out to everyone out there. If you're new in spirituality, if you have not asked the person physically, do not work on them. Switch to prayer, but don't make your prayer psychic surgery.
It's like stepping on their journey, basically.
It's stepping on your own journey, because you have just violated this person's thing and you don't even know it. And suddenly you will do it again and again and again. I met a lady a number of years ago that would continuously do work on everyone around her without their permission all the time. And then when people started telling her no, she started getting upset. All right? That person, in their own unawareness, had become such a spiritual ego monster that as soon as you said no to her unseen work, your life got better. Okay? It just had to say no.
We just have to make an analogy here. So imagine if you were limping down the road because you stumped your toe. But there's a surgeon who's having a latte at Starbucks, takes out his surgical knife and starts cutting open your back to reset the bones. You're going to probably look at that surgeon like, oh my God, what is your problem? You get the general idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could use that stuff on yourself during that seminar. How much of an explosion of energy you could have had on yourself instead of diverting to everyone else and avoiding your own potency and power.
Yeah, that's why I stopped. This was years ago, but now that it's like it got reactivated since we spoke, and since I've been raising my vibrations. That just reaffirms that I shouldn't be, I should always ask for consent to do work like that. And you also said that I have some, I have some low frequency friends. I was kind of wondering what is considered a low frequency, because I mean, I know some people that are very stuck in the matrix.
I got an answer for you. Okay. Here's an example of a really low frequency person. A pure pro-Trumper who doesn't give a rat's ass about anyone else's view. A zealot. Zealots are the lowest frequency out there. And just above zealot is martyr. And why isn't martyr the worst? Because the zealots are the ones that drive people into, martyrs are what drive people into zealotism. Okay? Where their way is the only way. That's the first journey to figure out if a person's a low frequency or not.
I would probably like to jump in here. Yeah. This word spirituality has been used, so it's become like a prostitute term.
Yeah.
Okay. Esoterics as well. And
it's like the word fuck, used for anything.
Yeah, to the point where I actually don't even use it myself anymore. Before you embark on a path of spirituality, the first thing you need to make sure is that you're a decent person first. Okay, when I say a decent person, I mean like you actually think. So let me give the audience a little bit of an idea of where we start from. Okay, you start from the point of view that of fallibilism. That is the first rule of all philosophy. If you are someone who is on a quest, whether it's a quest to yourself or whatever else, you start from the point of view, I may be wrong. Because if you don't have that and encoded in your system, then you have already lost the entire war. Okay? Because you will not question yourself, which is what Andrew was alluding to right there. You will not question. And you need to question yourself if you're on the path of that word that I don't use anymore. Right?
Path of awareness.
The path of awareness. Yeah, that actually sounds a lot better. Right? The path of awareness. So fallibilism, yes, you need to check that box. And I mean for all of you out here, whatever you believe in, start arguing with that thing. I don't care what it is that you believe in. Start arguing with it. Right? Because the only way that you are going to grow is when you ask questions. The only way you learn is by asking questions. That would be the first thing. The second thing would be check the ethical guidelines. Do you want to go through philosophy here, or you want to give the philosophy?
Also understand who you're asking questions to in your own self.
Agreed. So
there are many people in the know thyself journey don't know when they're talking to the deepest, darkest parts of themselves. The deepest, darkest parts are saying the lightest things to them.
This is true, actually. We have a lot of examples of that. Yeah. We have a lot of examples of that. Remember Billy Graham? Mm-hmm. Remember him? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just about a few yoga practitioners who have become discredited as a result of that.
There's been many followers in the people following the yoga community that were big teachers. And what are their issues? Personal bedroom issues. We'll just put it to that.
Yes, that's correct. And they've been discredited. So when you're on that path of awareness, you must start from the point of view that I'm fallible. You ask questions first of all. What I was coming to next is do the ethical check. The ethical check, you could use any model. Let's use Immanuel Kant's model, for instance. And I need you, the caller, what's his name? What is this?
Angel.
Angel. I need you to do this ethical check. I'll show you what the ethical check is. So let's use Immanuel Kant's model. He said, for a thing to be right and moral, it needs to conform to three principles. The three principles are: A, it needs to be reversible. If you have committed an action, it doesn't matter what the action is, that action must be reversible, as you must have it done to you. Okay? So you need to ask yourself, Angel, Would you like somebody doing energy work of any kind on you, no matter who the person was? That's the ethical check. The second check is that it must be universal, meaning that for an action to be right and moral, it has to be applied universally. If it's right in, where are you calling from, Angel?
It's Orlando, Florida.
Okay. If it's right in Florida, it should be right in Connecticut. It should be right in Boulder. Okay?
Unless it's the United States and they have different local laws and federal laws.
Oh, it could be right in Pluto as well. So that's the second ethical check that you need to.
If it doesn't apply equally to everywhere, there's something flawed in the original point of view.
And the third thing is that it must be done in the spirit of freedom, meaning that you did not compromise someone's freedom and you did not compromise your own. That is the ethical check.
Yeah, that's why we don't do any work on others unless we physically, as a 3D matrix person, ask them.
Certainly.
Okay, so if a 5D being supposedly comes to you, how do you get 3D matrix conversation without using your own voice? You don't. You don't. That's why I said for you to discern.
Is it true that beings like that can only communicate through intuitive feelings, images, not so much like thoughts?
They have thousands of ways of mimicking your own perceptions and moods and points of view. That's called hacking your hologram. Now, 95% of all entities are self-created, some for good, some for bad, some for confusion and for confusion's sake and hesitation and doubt, blah, 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 blah.
Self-limitation.
Self-created. Now, when you're talking the level of communications that you had, some of it is real, and a good majority of it isn't, because you're still using chemical memory makeup. You aren't in that true superluminal flow inside the spirit, where it's not a flowing memory. The whole thing is a memory from beginning to end. One memory, not a series of awareness-based memories like we do in our alpha state. When you're in that full no-time frequency, a single set of words may stick a month or a year later, but you don't have the rest of the conversation, meaning it was not a full high-level density communication. There was something in your Windows operating system that I call bloatware that is filling in the story.
At what point do you know that you're clean from all such perversions and twists and creations?
The ever-challenging question of spiritual hygiene and cleanliness. Daily practice that leads to weekly practice, that leads to weekly hindsight and weekly foresight, and that goes to monthly hindsight, monthly foresight, that leads to yearly, decades, so on and so forth, until such a time you've been on the path of being the self long enough that you know thyself, and you know there are deep, dark parts of yourself who want to be the angelic you in the moment of your sadness, who's going to give you that point of view that maybe if you just walk away from everyone, you could restart everywhere brand new, but in reality, you're just avoiding it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Versus, oh, this is a galactic communication where the guys are wearing BG underwears. How do you know that's valid and true? You don't. There is crossing into faith. When what our vision, external or internal, one must make the directionality in which sound, vision, spirit comes to us. That's known as the 7 directions: north, south, east, west, above, below, and within. And within, each creates an equation of directionality. A within subject matter may have a within answers, but the questions are asked external because there are shards of you external of yourself. And then vice versa, your core might be external of you because you denied your core. A lot of people have been traumatized and abused. Their core isn't there. The spirit's just from here to here inside their body.
Is that trauma from past lives as well, or just this one?
So I'm a first proponent is 99% of all past lives are misdiagnosed as this lifetime issue. You blame the past life for everything. No. If you stub your toe in first grade and 20 years later you stub your toe again and break it, does the toe from first grade, stubbing your toe in first grade, was that the original injury? No. When you broke it was the original injury. Okay? So it's dealing with these lifetimes. These other themes may show repetition and repetition, but it is our own choice to let repetition go so far that it gets turned up like punk rock music you don't want to hear when you're in some other mood music. And oftentimes lives are like that. You're born into your punk rock band and you should be listening to Mozart. Or you're a rapper from Chicago listening to Amish music. The themes don't match. And that creates grinding. And after a while, grinding is what confuses past to future, to present. So it's about this lifetime's traumas. If you really want to solve the discernment issue, because just because you made a wrong choice 19 lifetimes ago doesn't mean a demon's going to get you this lifetime. You still have to accept it this lifetime. You still have to go through the unlearning of everything you know to give away your power to it.
Okay.
And that can be done in, hey, one giveaway, though, because we don't have discernment. Too often, you have kids playing a video game who yell out loud, "I'd give anything to win this game." And there's a little internal voice goes, "Really?" I'm going to ask all the video gamers out there this esoteric question. Has it ever happened to you? Absolutely it has. Dozens of times. How do you know it's an external or internal voice? The journey to internal and external voices is your daily, weekly, monthly, yearly discernment practice that has hindsight and foresight, that figures out your data sets, your repetitions, your themes of unresolution, and how potentially an external source or your own external sources that are not inside your body manipulate your journey. Waking up on the wrong side of the bed, so on and so forth, clumsiness, ignorance to other people's point of view. Oftentimes when our core body is external of ourselves, we become ignorant of everyone else. All right, Angel, thanks a lot for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. Robert, spin the wheel of callers.
Okay, our next caller will be Patrick Riley. Patrick, you're unmuted.
Patrick, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Hardwick, Vermont.
Hardwick, Vermont. Welcome to the show. What questions did you have for me and David?
Okay, so I recently got some information from the Lionsgate, and I'm trying to start a new community. And actually, you're the perfect two people to talk to about this, because I've been on online communities for a long time, and I've seen how the quote-unquote light worker groups and the healing groups go. You get them to a certain point, and then all of a sudden you get a lot of negative trolls that start jumping in for whatever reason. And I've studied a lot of your work with keeping different. Ooh, wow, it's really intense talking to you. Sorry, hold on, give me a second to recalibrate. There are ways to set up certain rules ahead of time to make sure they don't come in. But I mean, obviously, like keeping track of narcissists and stuff is very important. But do you have any like tricks or tips that you might have about starting a community like this? I want to kind of have it so that like we have teachers, but they kind of work out of their own Patreon. So like I don't have to manage their money. They don't have to manage my stuff. But we have a pool of students that have a community they can come to and sort of share like all kinds of different historic and information.
Yeah, there's a lot of technological stuff that is already in place that can assist that journey. I'm going to bring David here to talk about some of the technology stuff.
Okay, so you're starting a group.
Yes.
You have a particular platform that you're using?
I'm looking at Mighty Networks right now. It looks like a really good one to start with, at least.
And what are you going to be bringing into that network?
So what I'm looking for is kind of an amalgamation of a lot of different groups, like Reiki healers, astrologers, tarot card readers. But I also wanted to be a fusion. So I wanted to bring in people who are interested in like new age energy. You know what I mean? Because I see like it all is a sort of synergy, and I think each could work with each other if I had a group like that where all these different sorts of people were meeting in almost like a college-like setting. You know what I mean?
Okay, so off the top of my head, first of all, because you've asked a multi-part question. So let's deal with the trolls first, shall we?
So just so you know, 2014, I had a huge website with scores and thousands of people paying, and I ended up having to shut down the entire forum because of death threats, actual death threats, and cease and desist orders to me, even though I had nothing to do with it, and it has nothing to do with anything because people are giving death threats there. You know, and it wasn't me, it was the people inside that ruined it themselves.
So I want to jump in here. There are two kinds of trolls.
Vicious and passive trolls.
There are two kinds of trolls. Okay, so I want to do a little bit of a psychoanalysis of trolls here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do a white paper on trolls?
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah, we should do a white paper on trolls.
So trolls are people who are obnoxious and often disgusting people. But what really makes a troll is the common denominator is that they are not seen. They are invisible people. Nobody takes them on.
Avatar.
Right? Nobody takes them on. Nobody takes them seriously. And so they come out onto chat forums, usually when people are trying to do good or trying to do something positive, and they ruin it for everyone, like Andrew was saying. But let me just say a few other things. The community that you're building right now is an attraction for trolls. And some of the trolls are actually traditional practitioners.
Yes.
As in medical practitioners who would like to discredit what you're doing specifically because it hurts their business or their perceived business. Now, I want to say something about this because we talk a lot about paramedical stuff. We talk about a lot about fringe science as well, what is called fringe science. And I want to have a discussion about it. If you are confident in your practice, if you are a doctor, if you are some therapists who went to Harvard or whatever else, and you are confident in your practice, then you do not need to come onto forums and try to discredit people. The reason why you're doing it is because you are insecure, okay? You are insecure because you think that there's something that you don't know, that they know, and they might be better than you at what you do. Now, I've had a lot of arguments with doctors, and I should say that I'm traditionally trained in a number of things myself. I'm a nutritionist as well as a number of other things as well. And I'm going to tell you that you're going to get two sets of trolls that are going to come in. You're going to get the useless troll who just wants to spread negativity because it's something that they want to do. Then you're going to get the know-it-all troll who probably got a PhD from reading Wikipedia and Google.
YouTube PhD?
Yeah, the YouTube PhD types. And then you're going to get, for what you're doing, and you're going to get the traditional medical troll who believes that I know exactly what we need to do here. And I know everything and you guys don't know anything. Okay? All three of these trolls are idiots. Every one of them.
I call it the new age diet energy vampirism. So instead of it being esoteric energy vampires and hardcore energy vampires, trolling is a way to get one finger into the pie of energy vampires.
Yes, it is, because people react to the troll. And I know it's been said many times, don't react to the troll. Why do they exist? But your question was a technological question. We have a moderator on our chat line. You can do this, The problem with having a moderator on our chat line, trolls are generally very persistent.
Yes.
They're like mosquitoes. They just keep coming back.
They're more like centipedes and mosquitoes.
Yeah, that's horrible. Right, yeah. They're gross and they keep coming back. So my suggestion to you, whatever technological solution that you come up with, has to be able to tag the IP addresses of the trolls. That makes it more difficult. So block out entire IP addresses.
Or make them have to be transparent.
Or make them have to be transparent, as in disclose location.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Right? You can either do one or two of these things. If you block out the IP address completely, you run into the problem that the troll may have a VPN, for instance. And if he has a VPN and he logs into your chat room without the IP address, just don't let him in.
Just don't let him in.
Just don't let him in.
Yeah.
So everybody in the chat room knows who each other are. And you know who they are, and you know location. Okay?
And there's a fine line between meltdown, help me, and trolling.
Yeah, there is.
Yes.
I would have to say there is. Because fights break out in forums all the time. Depending on how you people deal with them. People feel very strongly about things. So a Reiki practitioner might get into a fight with a quantum healer.
Yeah, I'll type it out. It'd be all in caps the whole way through.
Right? And everybody's in all in caps. These people are not trolls. These people are just having an argument and they feel passionate about stuff. When we talk about trolls, we're talking about people who deliberately come in to disrupt and make a very bad environment for people. And these people are not necessary.
Or to turn a good thread evil.
Yeah, to turn a good thread evil. They're out there to do this kind of work. So my suggestion to you, in terms of technological solutions.
Troll be gone.
Troll be
Spray.
gone.
We'll have to sell it
in terms of technological solutions, the easiest and cheapest way is to lock the IP and delete the IP permanently from being able to connect. That's the number one. Or make everybody transparent and clear. So that everybody has to log into your chat room with a filled out form, and you know who everyone is, okay? That way you can actually action them later on. And just as a matter of information, yes, you can action a troll legally, you can. For those of you who have websites, you can actually action them. There are laws against malicious communication in just about every country now, okay? And a troll specializes in malicious communication, which is illegal. Right, not that you want to go after every troll, but Scientology does.
Yeah. Well, they have the money.
Yeah, they have the money, right? So not that you want to go after every troll.
You're talking like $400 or $500 a troll just to paper him. Sometimes it's worth it.
Right.
It's worth it. Just shut that troll up. Just don't feed the troll.
Right. So my suggestion in terms of Chatroll works.
Yeah.
Chatroll is an online tool that you can use. Right, I'm not quite sure of its capabilities, but being able to log the IP addresses is a wonderful thing. In terms of using a moderator, if you're going to have regularly scheduled sessions, the moderator's there. The moderator could kick them out of the room and make sure that they stay out of the room.
Pretty much, but the thing is, how much more infrastructure is one going to invest into anti-trolling? What he's really asking is, how does he make the community and stop the trolls from the beginning? The answer is you can't.
No, you can't.
You can't. You can do things to mitigate it, like the VPN, the IP address, but it's really about creating the community forum, rules, styles, and making it very clear what is crossing the line and what isn't. In your threads, put an example of what's crossing the line.
Right.
Okay, and your frequently asked questions, what's crossing the line, and allow them to use that line as their basis if they're going to push you or not.
But people generally tend to know what's crossing the line. If you're a real troll, you know that threatening people is crossing the line.
Yeah, but there's a fine line between debating one's topic and saying you're ignorant this, ignorant that, with the F words and all the other stuff that doesn't always cross the line, but it's using colorful euphemism to prove your point.
Agreed. You can have debates, which is sensible debate.
Not debasement.
Yes. Debasement is the line that you cross. Right. When you start using ad hominem fallacies, you're not dealing with what the person is saying, you're dealing with the person. And so most of the times you haven't met the person. That definitely is trolling. So you set the rules, no threats, no excessive profanity, because, profanity is...
Center yourself, use the 2 asterisks in between.
Right. No threats, and no... debasing other people, denigrating other people, or groups of any kind. You can get a template for that online. It's real simple, okay? And you enforce it. Enforcement is very necessary. We enforce that on our chat line. We do. Have to. We're pretty free of trolling. Yeah, we had to get it under control because of Andrew's.
In the past, there have been majority of the trolls are on the Facebook or YouTube page, and There are ones that troll themselves. Like they put up a question and then 5 minutes later they say it's been self-edited. Weird things, and even though no one's looked at the channel in a day and a half, because we can tell who logs in and logs out of our channel.
That's really sad stuff. That's really sad.
Some really sad stuff. Self-edited comments.
Sometimes I debate with myself.
I've seen it.
Wow. Yeah. Sometimes I debate with myself, but not to the point of trolling.
So when we get troll comments, let's say on the YouTube page, that are clearly just ad hominem attacks, blanket erase, and then they get mad that you blanket erase. Why? It's my channel. Your rights end as soon as you enter my zone. We don't have a right to chop up and spite your face.
That's funny. That's very funny. Are we answering your question? We're really having fun with this question because this is something that comes up. And
I kind of wanted to hear your perspective because I know both of you are deep in it. So hearing your level of frustration will give me an idea of where my level of frustration will be at, because I have spent a lot of time online.
We're not frustrated anymore.
Many good ones tank because of trolls.
You got to learn to have a hard skin.
Yes, you do.
If you don't have a hard skin, and they're not some of the comments you can just flip and go, hey, that is kind of funny.
Yeah,
some of them are funny and rude and debasement, but there are times when we've got these little rap battles between going in friends where you top off with their top off, and sometimes some words are said with a few drinks are done, but it's no harm, no foul. Trolls are harming and fouling with these words.
Yeah. Yes. I actually thought, I hope Sarkis is listening to us. Sarkis is?
He might, I don't know.
All right. Well, if Sarkis is one of our frequent callers, if you're listening, may I suggest that you create software to de-troll.
Troll be gone.
Troll be gone.
So moderators just spray the chat room.
And get the trolls out of. The problem with being very strict with the trolling protocol is that you don't want to necessarily limit people's free speech, but when it becomes a problem for others, you need to limit it.
Right.
And unfortunately, we've got a lot of cat ladies and cat men who like to troll.
Oh my God.
Who like to troll what? Chat rooms. They've lost their social skills. And I can tell you how many times on this show I've told over and over again, people, stop, don't become a hermit. You're going to lose your social skills. There are some that literally lose their social skills in 3-4 weeks.
Correct.
Okay, weeks, not years. And you got a cat guy, a cat man, and a cat woman running around with 22 cats, and that's all they want to talk about in the troll room. So obviously, narcissists want to have the attention put on them. Not all narcissists screw up a chat room. Sometimes they make it quite interesting.
Yes.
Why? Because they show who they are.
And then we get to psychoanalyze
Yes,
them.
we get to psychoanalyze them, which creates an awesome thread. As long as we don't attack the narcissist and say we are criticizing or giving constructive criticism, you just give your information back and it doesn't hurt his narcissistic point of view. You could have a really great conversation with a narcissist. A truthful one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It'll be about them.
Robert, was that you with a cat sound?
Yes.
Yeah. No, have fun with it because there's a lot to be learned. But my suggestion is that you set the rules, the ground rules. See who listens, who doesn't. Log the IP address, get rid of them.
Those are great
the other
ideas.
thing is, who is your dedicated moderators? And most of them don't get paid.
Right.
If you put teachers to do it, they're going to want to get paid to do it because it is some work. Dealing with trolls, it is not a fun job. Not for everyone. You need a millennial that's got a I don't give a care attitude.
Remember, Jenny's listening to this. Yeah, we need to be very careful. Next thing, Jenny starts trolling us. Jenny, if you're listening to this, we're very sorry. Jenny's our moderator on the chat room.
Our troll fear.
We don't think you're a millennial.
What's the next one after millennial?
I have no idea. What is the next one after millennial? Anybody? Just drop it into the chat. You know we're dating ourselves by not knowing
Generation
this, right?
Z.
Generation Z?
Yeah, Generation Z.
Generation Z.
Generation Z. That sounds
Last
like
of the-
that's the last letter of the alphabet. We're done after this, right?
Done, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Please let us know.
Yeah, actually, I have one that's slightly it's business related, but not the same thing. I also started drawing a comic with the Arcturians. Now, I'm wondering, is there some kind of legal basis I'd have to worry about if I was going to run a comic book where I feature Arcturians in a specifically light language? Is that going to be an issue? Is there some way I should, something I might be needed to be aware of about that? Or could I just...
You can't, they can't trademark or copyright a planet's name.
Okay.
It's already in the scientific database.
Okay. So if I had something that was like called Arcturian Light Language Transmission, I could trademark that and that'd be fine.
As long as no one else has trademarked that exact name, you can do pretty much whatever your creative genius wants.
Great. Perfect. Because that's, I think, how I'm going to advertise.
How much have you worked on the comic book?
I've only done 2 pages right now. I've only been doing it weekly. I haven't had a place to sit down and really channel it, but it comes through very strong. In fact, they sent me an image of themselves that I found very interesting. I started working on drawing infinity symbols, and as I was drawing this infinity symbol, I realized that the infinity symbol actually had a heart in it, but the heart was actually a point that was pulled lower, which then I put a point above the infinity symbol, and I made it kind of crystal and ended up making a face. So the Arcturians came through as wanting to be this crystal with infinity eyes. I thought that was very interesting. It was very simple, and I draw them in blue with light language. But they're very funny and very intelligent. And I find it a fun way to kind of relate. It's a very short, 1-page comic when they come through. But I thought it might be a fun way to relate that sort of stuff to people, especially new people, where we're getting a lot more people in this community, kind of pull them in with something fun and light,
My advice to you when it comes to the comic book, do it. Also understand that if you're going to be drawing and getting these types of transmission, do a comic book that's about them teaching you their math. And make the comic book, the letters, numbers coming out inside of your head, and the Arcturian over here is he going to get it? Is he going to get it? If you're able to make comic-based comedical associations of how they are trying to teach you, you will learn faster what they're actually trying to teach you. And that's innate to types of beings, because comedy frees up our genius in the moment to allow masterful pattern recognition. And when you're able to use art, comedy, and esoteric teachings, you can really have some advanced perspectives.
Awesome.
All right, brother, take it easy. So,
Thank you
David,
so
we got
much.
time for one more caller, and then we're going to call it a day.
Sure.
All right, Robert, spin the last wheel of callers.
Okay, next caller is Lori Popio. Lori, you're unmuted. I can talk tonight.
Lori, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, Lori. Hi, where are you calling from today? Looks like he's muted again.
Hello. There we go.
There you go.
Hi.
Where are you calling from today?
Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio. Welcome to the show. So what questions did you have for us?
So I'm interested in starting into the hypnosis work, hypnotherapy, and what are your thoughts on that kind of work, and how do I market myself?
Very good question. David, you're a hypnotherapist, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
So, Laurie, why do you learn hypnotherapy?
I started watching a lady on YouTube. I don't know if I should say her name or not, but the way she worked with people and the forgiveness therapy and releasing things was just profound to me, and I want to do that.
Okay, so have you learned hypnotherapy formally?
I took a class with her. It was a 1-week class, and was very successful at it, but I'm feeling a little insecure yet, so I've signed up to take more training, get licensed.
Excellent. So I'm a licensed hypnotherapist, so can I give you some advice or not really?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, so First of all, well, you would know all this stuff, but our callers won't, so I'm just going to give some background. There's a difference between hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Hypnosis is a tool. Hypnotherapy is using that tool for therapeutic purposes. So there are different levels in hypnotherapy. Laurie, if you want to learn hypnotherapy, I suggest you attach yourself to an association that gives you updates on the latest techniques and so on. Okay, so I am a registered hypnotherapist with the International Association of Counselors and Therapists. Okay, you might want to find yourself an association, and that association will actually give you the marketing tools that you need and the exposure. That's the first suggestion that I would have for you. Getting licensed is important. What you said, you're in Ohio, am I correct?
Yes.
Do we have a mentorship group in Ohio? I think we do. So that is the first suggestion. What kind of hypnotherapy do you want to specialize in? I assume that you want to deal with trauma issues, or what do you want to deal with? Gestalt issues? What form?
Forgiveness therapy, interpersonal therapy, spirit releasement, releasing spirit attachments, and past life.
You want to do past life regression, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the lady who coined and really developed past life regression with regard to hypnosis was a lady named Irene Hickman. She is now dead, but I do believe she has actually students who are in Ohio.
Oh.
Ironically. So what I suggest that you do is you need to do two things right now. Get yourself licensed, attach yourself to an organization. I know that you want to practice what you want to do, but being part of an organization will give you
access to more training,
more training and
professional
a network.
Yeah, network of people.
A network where you get referrals. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so let's put it this way. If you spend what is the IMDHA's referral? If you spend $100 to join an association, the amount of referrals that you will get for people that are in around will be more than $100 for sure. Okay. So there is that aspect. You might want to differentiate yourself. So you want to do forgiveness therapy. Your teacher did forgiveness therapy. In what way would you like to practice? Because I'm assuming that you got onto this path because of some reason.
She saw a video of people being healed spiritually, and that's what called her to action.
So Laurie, what made you decide to go down that path?
I don't know. I felt strongly compelled. And that's all I've wanted to do since I saw these videos.
Like the hypnotic suggestion?
So Laurie, if you want to help people, then that is one of the most effective ways to help people, because the other alternative is the talking cure, psychotherapy. I'm also a psychotherapist who uses hypnosis. And I can tell you that psychotherapy takes a long time. Sometimes
centuries.
So hypnosis is more like the surgery to the general practice of counseling. Or
physical therapy and surgery.
Yes. The particular hypnotherapy you want to practice is requires a certain amount of skill sets. So I assume that you've gotten over the stage where you're worried about whether the induction works or it doesn't. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm bordering there. I just need more confidence. But
bordering. What are you using as an induction method?
Was it Dave Ellman?
The Ellman technique.
Yes.
Okay, so you follow all the stages of the Ellman technique?
Yes, and it works easily and quickly.
Yes, it does. I know something that works in 3 minutes.
Okay.
I know something that works in 3 minutes. May I suggest you look into getting something called a Lucia light?
Number 3.
Yeah, it doesn't there is no if, ands, or buts as to whether the individual takes the induction.
Yeah, 100%.
We're actually going to be demonstrating that at the next International Association of Counselors and Therapists convention next year. I know something that works in 3 minutes and is a lot more effective than any technique I've ever seen. We're actually looking at refining it right now because you might want to look into it.
We have a practitioner system that we want to put forward to people that uses all their forms of biometric sensing so that the person doing the induction has an awareness journey of what the body metrics are saying, how deep they really are.
Agreed. I think we need to break that down. Okay, so the device that I'm talking about, and I know you probably, depending on whether you want to use the device or not, that's a Lucia light right there. Thank you, Robert. That Robert has put that up on the screen. What that does, it uses flickering light. They've discovered how consciousness works. So what it does, it actually creates your induction really, really quickly. And it takes the skill out of hypnotherapy, actually, which is slightly annoying for those of us who have refined.
Decades learning the
skill.
But
yes,
when you use the Lucia light and you have powerful induction skills, you have more latitude and longitude with some of your suggestions having the potential of having longer-term submental effects.
Okay, so she would know the induction. That light, Laurie, may I make a suggestion? Mm-hmm. If you have the means to get one, there are other lights out there. I believe there are 2 competitors.
Anana.
No, it's Ajna, and it's the Ajna light and the Pandora.
Yeah,
Pandora Star.
Absolute garbage. Do not spend your money on it. I'm sorry. And the Anana one,
I'm sorry.
It is no comparison to what the Lucia light is.
It's okay, right. But if you get these devices, Laurie, I think it would take your any insecurity you have about the induction out of the equation, which will allow you to concentrate on the therapeutic parts. Apart from that, in terms of marketing yourself and getting out there, what do you have right now? Let's talk business.
Not a lot. I'm working my day job at a corporation and looking to retire soon and do this full time.
What are you doing? What do you do?
I work in a utility company in the office. Admin type work.
Utility company. Are we talking?
Admin work.
She does admin work. Okay, so you're going to need a Facebook page. You're going to need to use social media. That's going to be hard for you, I suspect. Do I sense a little bit of shyness there, Laurie?
A little shyness, but I already have a Facebook page. And
do you have a professional Facebook page?
Yeah, not private.
Well, you're going to need a professional Facebook page, and try to keep it as far away from your private page as you possibly can.
Okay.
And I would suggest that you make your private page private. Very
you have
private.
to make a second account to have your private page do that.
Facebook is evil that way.
Yes.
So anyway, you might want to do that. The other social media platform that you might want to do basically for LinkedIn. What you do, LinkedIn. You definitely need a LinkedIn page. I assume that you have one right now. Am I correct?
No, I don't. So
okay, so you're going to be moving into professional practice. Okay, so you're probably going to need a LinkedIn page. You're going to need a Facebook page. You don't have to worry about the website right now, but you have to worry about refining and developing your specialness, your distinctiveness from other hypnotherapists. Okay? Mm-hmm. So one of the things that people generally tend to come across when they want to start a business in hypnotherapy is, first of all, there's the insecurity part and the know-how part. Okay, so once your LinkedIn page and your Facebook page has been set up, I believe the next step would be, what's your plan, Laurie? Do you want to take over the world of hypnotherapy? What do you want to do?
Help people. I don't want it to get so big that it's more controlling that than helping people.
Answer.
Excellent. Excellent.
Maybe you should make your own induction for yourself about taking it slow, easy, and helping people. and keep putting your own hypnotic suggestion into yourself for that exact purpose. Because that's actually a very balanced answer. Because we get so many people that right away the ego steps in, right away shows their enlightenment traps that they're stuck in, what they'll never actually do. But you got the answer.
Okay.
Help people.
So once you have that as your core motivation, you are going to be successful. Okay, because people will sense it immediately. Okay.
Okay.
When you're dealing with your clients, you know, you present yourself as a professional, you have intake forms, and you do your due diligence on clients. You do the consultation first of all, and let people know who you are. Word of mouth will spread your skills.
Right.
And if you have that caring aspect as part of your makeup and your motivation, you are already halfway there.
Also, in the industry you're getting in, you don't sell one session; you sell 3.
Okay.
If you want to survive in past life regression, you're never selling one session. You're always selling 3. Even if they don't show up to the other 2, or give them away to someone else.
Especially if you're using the Elman induction. Okay, because that takes a little bit of time to master. You know this, right, Laurie?
Yes.
And have you been practicing?
I've been practicing. I'd like to practice more. I find that people are afraid
of what?
Of hypnosis in general.
Oh, they're afraid that you make them bark like a dog. Yeah.
Quack like a dog, bark like a dog.
So hypnosis has gotten a bad name because of, you know this, I don't need to tell you this. Hypnosis has gotten a bad name primarily because mentalists and people who are very skilled at hypnosis have used it as a sort of a party trick.
That's right. They have to put the poo-poo energy on it.
Right. You're always going to be battling against that. This is why there's a distinction between the word hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Okay, there are not a lot of hypnotherapists giving hypnotherapy a bad name. So I understand why people are frightened. The only thing that you can do is inform them and educate them as to what it actually is, because we believe that all hypnosis in the end is really self-hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that, right, Laurie?
Yes, I do.
You are just the guide. All hypnosis is really self-hypnosis. And to get yourself in that state, you can't go into that state without a sense of trepidation. There's a trust that has to be developed, which is why Andrew just said, maybe you need to sell 3 sessions at a time, because you're not going to get some random person walking into your office with very deep-seated trauma, which they believe are from past lives or whatever else, to trust you, no matter what technique you're using. You're going to have to be using sodium amytal for that.
Or hammer and chisel.
Okay.
So have you gotten good at doing it over a phone call, or do you do it just in person?
Just in person right now.
Start practicing to do it over the phone.
Okay.
You gotta try. Because it opens you up so much more when you learn how to hold the induction energy, even if the person's not physically in front of you. They don't need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no space or time in between the two of you when you're in that hypnotic state.
And what technology are you using? You're just using your voice, am I correct?
Yes.
Are you using any kind of music or subliminal or superliminal sound?
No. Should I?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it will. Okay, so the Elman technique actually lends itself to subliminal and superliminal frequency sound. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm only talking to you right now. I know you're just starting and stuff like that, but you want to develop your technique in such a way that your voice becomes more than just the voice of some person trying to hypnotize me. It becomes the voice. So you might want to become a little bit more savvy with what's out there. There is some subliminal and superliminal frequencies that will assist you in getting the induction a little bit quicker. But there's nothing to replace getting an induction from somebody than the person being able to trust you and trust in the process that you're trying to guide them through. Okay? There's nothing that will replace that. And Laurie, from your voice, I actually like her voice.
You too?
Yeah. So, right.
Yeah,
and Laurie, if you bring yourself across to the individuals in the way you're trying to help them, go with that first, and then everything else should fall into place. But I could only give you suggestion. Lucia Light is a suggestion, using supraliminal or subliminal frequencies or binaural frequencies. We had a lady who was part of our association, a scientist who developed a lot of these frequencies for us. So if you need any further information and so on, Jenny, drop my email into the chat if you're there and you're still talking to us after Andrew called you a millennial. Right.
I didn't call her a millennial. I just said what comes after a millennial.
Right. You said most moderators are millennials. Yeah, Jenny.
No, most moderators should be millennials because they're the expert troll spotters.
Could you just drop my email in there? And Laurie, if you need me to direct you to resources where you can get that stuff at free, I will do so. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Laurie.
Thank you very much.
Hey, everyone. This has been a really, really special show. I want to thank everyone for showing up. We'll be back this Thursday at 11 Pacific time. And then this coming Friday, David, we are having a webinar, a secret, private webinar. And all you got to do is capture your email, give us an email, and we are going to be giving you all details of what's coming up in this super top secret Skunk Works webinar. What is David and I cooking?
Will Jenny be there?
Yes.
Jenny, will you be there? Jenny?
She's not in this particular room. All right, everyone, take it easy, and we'll be back this Thursday.
All right, bye.